Hello, and welcome to SIS Table Talks, real talk for real change, brought to you by the Sisters of Seeking Insights for Solutions.
Good afternoon. It's so great to be able to share with you our thoughts and our feelings. Today, we're going to have a SIS talk, and we are going to answer that question and ask a question. What's on your mind? And with me are other SIS members. To my left,
Clarissa Westwhite.
Gail, Clemmer.
And Valerie Herndon.
and I am Mary Jennings. So, what's on your mind? Who would like to start?
Where is this going from here? What are we going to be doing?
What's on my mind? My mind is for SIS to keep spreading this good word and getting other groups to join us in fighting the battle, the inequality, social injustice, and a better life for us all.
Clarissa, what's on your mind?
So today I think what's probably weighing a little more heavy on my mind is probably our youth. I have a 13-year-old and a 19-year-old, and it's males. And so the news impact me probably differently than people whose children are, maybe on their own or off or have empty nests. And so every news event becomes a hold your breath moment. Like, oh, hopefully they're not doing that here, or hopefully our cops are better trained, or hopefully our teachers don't do that. And so I just kind of think about parents who have youth in this generation and trying to explain why people do bad things, which is, tough. And then because we are faith-filled people, it's they kind of wonder, well, where's the punishment? Because if they do something, there's a consequence. Pretty immediate if they do something they shouldn't do at home. But it's like in the world, they don't see the consequences for people's bad behavior. So they're like, well, if God punishes or corrects, then when is he going to fix this? And so, that's the heaviness of, raising youth today. It's a daily trek.
Yeah. I agree with you. This morning, we had an opportunity to see 14 youth as graduates in our church. And as I sat there, it was wonderful to see 14 young people finish education and moving on to higher education. But one thought that I had and what was on my mind was, are they going to be weaponized with DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion as they step out? Are there going to be doors that are going to be shut in their face because of the color of their skin? Not because of the skill that they've acquired, but just because of the DEI weaponization that's occurring right now. And the other thing that was on my mind as well is, how are we going to fight? What are some of the strategies that we're going to use to try to put back in place some of the things that have happened with our government, our federal government particularly? And I say that because we are the people, we the people. And what's happening is egregious, and it's happening to us. And you don't always see the opportunity to, where's my battle? Where can I station myself so that there will be a definitive outcome?
Well, organizations like SIS, and there's so many organizations that have a lot of visions and missions. We are obligated to educate. We're obligated to spread the word. We're obligated to inform, and especially our young people. Let them know, let them be aware, let the optics be clear to them what they're seeing. And so that education that you're speaking of, they finish their college, their education through college. It's another education moving forward because they're going into the real world there are going to be several challenges
Mhm.
faced. So the organizations need to focus on that. All the small organizations need to focus on what you can do to bring them in and educate them at that level, so they can survive. This can survive the changes that are being made from a government that's in place, what they should do, what areas of expertise they should go into. I mean, things that will allow them to be successful and succeed in life.
Yeah. Identifying those jobs, those special places in which they can be successful.
And then you mentioned of DEI. That needs to be explained. What does diversity, equity, and inclusion means? It needs to be explained. Right now, it says DEI equals Black. That's not the definition of DEI. So it needs to be explained that what diversity means. If you have white organizations, they need to be diverse. They need to be inclusive. They need to be equal. So it's not just to be used as an opportunity that Blacks are receiving that don't deserve an opportunity. It comes across that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And for the deportations that are going on as well.
Yes,
You know,
very much so.
what's the thought? I mean, what are we thinking about that?
To me, it's just the treatment of other people is horrific, especially Black people. I grew up in a family that's all white, and I went to a school that was all white until I went to Boston. And in my nursing class at Mass General, I had the most wonderful best friend. She was Black, and she was wonderful. And we could talk about a lot of things that we can do here at SIS. It's so open and wonderful. We can talk, we can laugh, we can cry, we can do whatever, because we are equal and we're people. And to be treated like one of us is wonderful. We're a wonderful group. But I just wish more people would not look at your outward countenance, the color, look at you and be a caring, loving Christian person.
You know, I got up this morning and it's the anniversary of George Floyd's death. So I sat in a chair and I put my hand on my throat and squeezed it for 9 minutes. Wow. Oh. What we saw that police officer do was devastating. I can't find the words to explain what happened. But one of the things that we have to, at least I think one of the things that we have to have a concern about is explaining what that means to people that come up and talk to us. I mean, someone will say, well, I'm so sorry about the anniversary of George Floyd. So what? So what? So what does that mean to you? What does that mean that you're going to do? How's that going to change how you perceive me or another person of color or our youth, our Black males, our Hispanic males? What difference is it going to make? And I agree with you, Clarissa, that it's a real concern when you have male children in the family, how they're going to survive what is happening,
Yeah, because I think as parents, we teach them at least Black parents, we teach them about if you're pulled, say, sir, put your hands on the steering wheel so they can see them. Don't move without asking, do all that. But we've still seen in the media where people did all that and still did not arrive home. And so it leaves you going you simply don't know what else to do. But we do also try to explain that not every person is a bad person, and not to judge the whole lot by just one or two bad characters, because that just gets you paranoid and you miss out on some opportunities and some friendships. But then to also, because it's just very difficult, you find yourself like flipping back and forth, like don't do this, but don't do that either. And so it gets a little harsh. I don't know, like our 13-year-old came home one day and usually we ask because he's in advanced classes, and we had the similar dynamic with his brother. So the first day of school, we were like, "So were you the only African American male?" We cringe because we already know the answer. In your class, and he was like, "No, there's another black boy." And we were like, "Phew, you have a friend." So weeks went by, months went by, and then we went to an assembly and we saw the young man, and we went. He was like, I was like, "Is that the other black boy in your class?" He was Indian, like from Pakistan. And I was like, I don't think he identifies as black. And so he was like, "Oh, he looks it." I said, "But he doesn't." I didn't. So we had to go into this whole, and it was probably more than he wanted to know, or maybe even needed to know. But we were like, "No, their driver's license says white." And he was like, "How could that be?" And I was like, "Oh, they fought for that. It was a whole legal campaign." And yeah. And so it's these conversations we have just about, and we were like, "But is he a good friend?" So we had to kind of, forget all that. But is he a good friend? Okay, fine. Then, yeah, but you're still the only African American male in your class. And we're not sure how to broach that subject, right? Because I'm sure there are other people who test well, or maybe they're in another class and they just don't want to put all of you in one class. But those are kind of the things, the very little things that mean something to us. Because my upbringing was very different. My K-12, I was in the majority in all my classes. My teachers looked like me. My principals more oftentimes looked like me. Everybody looked more like me than not. And so my oldest was able to experience that until fourth grade. And I think it adds to his swagger. Because people are like, "Oh, he's so confident." And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what happens when you're surrounded by other excellent people. You're not always seen as the one anomaly. And so my youngest is often treated as the anomaly because he's the one in the group. And so it just makes even where to live and where to work difficult because it's not so easy to just like, there's a job. Yeah, we can get a job in an hour, but that we wouldn't be very comfortable based on the racial breakdown of this. So it's just not. I have friends because I went to a predominantly white institution, and so they were like, "I'm going to take a job here, and I'm going to take a job there. Won't you come?" And I'm like, "It's not that easy." I have to think about where in the state to live, what's available. Will I be able to get collard greens? I mean,
Right. That's right. A staple. A staple, right?
It's those little things that go into making those life decisions. That's just tough, and sometimes it's unfair, but it just keeps us like really close to God. So
Yes.
I'm sure
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
Well, I think that too. You can walk in a room, like she says, you get judged. You walk in a room and you're white and nothing is done. You're just there. You're white. If you're black, you've got to think, should I go in this room? What will they do with me? What will they think of me? I could just imagine what that must be.
Well, somehow, black folks, you feel things that white folks wouldn't sense, that they don't sense things because have not been exposed to the other side of the stuff. So that usually is a disadvantage to us. Maybe we're just so much tuned in to our environment, our atmosphere, what's going on. If you can read body language, you can pick up a word here and there that means a whole lot to you. But getting back to George Floyd, we all know at that time, everyone was, the whole world knew what happened. Everybody was tuned in. I mean, it was so bad, so egregious that you had to, if you had a heart, you had to have express disbelief and disbelief in what went on. So they bring it up every year, and there's another anniversary, but the action needs to be done between the anniversary dates. We need to get things done. Either not just to remind what happened, but some type of awareness that because we were all psyched at that point and hopeful that things will change. And as we all know, nothing much has changed since
Mhm.
since that time.
So
How do we do it?
So what are some of the changes that we would be looking for? You know, I think one of them is a legislative change, you know, getting the judges, getting the legislature to enact some bills and some laws that would be supportive of how people are treated. I mean, I think when we look back at the whole civil rights issue and African Americans, particularly in this country, have gained access to whatever as a result of some law,
Yeah.
okay? As a result of a law, a bill, or some kind of action with the judge. It's not been because anyone believes that African Americans or people of color are worthy of it, but it's been as a result of some legislative action because something egregious happened, and then there was someone that, you know,
Okay.
took it to court or something like that. But what are some things that we are thinking in SIS? I mean, as SIS members, what are some things that we're thinking that might be able to move, move things along differently? I mean, we have a book, Where Color Meets. Okay. It's an expression of those people that sharing their experiences as they grew up. It's audible. You can listen to it. If you don't want to read it, you can listen to
It's a
it.
great book.
Yeah, it's a wonderful book. It has our expressions in it. But there has to be more. Everyone's not going to read the book. Everyone's not going to listen to Audible, And so the challenge for us is, you know, our CIS groups certainly will help in encouraging small groups and communities to be able to talk about racism and talk about the lack of equality, talk about diversity, you know, and that certainly is the beginning.
Yes.
And we're hoping for, for more. We're hoping for deeper action. We're
I think
hoping
that's
for
tough. I
something.
think it's tough though. Some people just don't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to just
Mm-hmm.
be ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to a great meeting tonight. It's SIS.
Mhm.
What's SIS? I have
Mhm.
a book you can read if you want. Where Colors Meet.
Sure.
And just talk about it and see that you're happy. And
Mhm.
some of my great friends are right here,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will mean a lot. But we're just
Yes.
us. We've got to go out individually too and be ambassadors. I've told this to friends. They said, what a wonderful idea. My daughter's in Washington. She's all set to go for it up there. Yes.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's real
That's what we
wonderful.
need.
Well, we have done a lot with SIS, with our interviews and the anthology that we put together, and meeting other groups that saw us and would like to do similar things. So, well, we do have more to accomplish. So that will be our planning together for
That's it.
put
That's
it
it.
together for the next 5 years, and we hope to accomplish much more than that we have done so far in the last 5 years.
I wanted to just share, as I was sitting there and hearing some of the conversation and the things that were said, there was a Martin Niemöller or Niemöller, Niemöller, came out of the Second World War. And this is what Martin had to say. Okay. He said, first they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists. I didn't speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unions, and I did not speak out because I wasn't a member of a trade union. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. And in the reflection, I think about the fact that so they came and deported Latin American males.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't speak out. I'm not a Latin American male. Then they came and they took Medicare, Medicaid away. I didn't speak out because I don't need it yet. I didn't need Medicaid, Medicare. Then they came and dismantled the government, Department of Justice, Department of Education. If we don't speak out, if we don't determine some way that we can garner power, they're going to come for us and there'll be nobody.
Yep, I say get involved, get
Yes.
involved, be a member of an organization, get to work,
Sure.
and
Work
and
hard.
work
hard.
very hard, and just
Yeah.
just know it's ongoing,
It's,
and
yeah.
you have to don't give up.
Yeah. It was wonderful talking with you. Thank you so very much. Thanks for sharing.
We enjoyed it.
Thanks.
We enjoyed it.